Would you like to learn my best advice on how to be an effective parent? Hello, my name is Dr. Francheska Perepletchikova, and today I would like to offer you my best advice on how to be an effective parent. We probably will all agree that parenting is a very hard, demanding, difficult, and most responsible job we have. And at the same time, it is the most punishing job that we can ever have of our own choosing. Why? Because as parents, we're supposed to teach our children, we're supposed to guide them, we're supposed to change their behaviors, we're supposed to limit them within some sort of boundaries. Naturally, our children are going to push back. And this is normal because whenever we're teaching somebody, that introduces change. Nobody likes change. Whenever we are making sure that our children are correcting their behavior, nobody likes that either. Whenever we are putting limits on their use of devices and other things, that is restricting their freedom of choice. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. And nobody likes that either. And on top of that, the more loving, the more accepting, the more validating we are, the more our children are going to take us for granted. Why? Because we're not impinging on their core senses of self-love, safety, and belonging, meaning that most of what you can get is children taking you for granted and treating you as air without actually reinforcing you for all of the wonderful parenting that you are doing. And most of the time, just punishing you for all of the wonderful parenting that you're doing. Now, with that said, probably we can all agree that in order for us to do any kind of job effectively, we need to get trained in it. Parenting is just the same. Unfortunately, we need a license to fish, but we don't need to get educated on how to become effective parents. It's as if we are expected to know what to do naturally, and our children come with instructions. That is not so. Also, we all probably think that we'll be wonderful parents. I don't know where we're getting that from, especially given that most of us sustain parenting ourselves from our own parents that we're not that adequate by our own admission. So then how can we be effective parents? Well, sometimes people are saying, well, I will do everything opposite to what my parents used to do. Well, number one, that's not going to happen that way because your parents provided modeling of parenting to you, writing in your biological computer, your brain, a program on how to parent. And even if you utmost devote to never repeat the mistakes of your parents, unfortunately, that modeling is going to influence your behavior when you have your own children, whether you like it or not. It's ingrained in your programming. For example, a child who's being physically punished for whatever it is not a full way of teaching me a lesson. I will do the same thing to my children. No, they're saying I will never, ever do the same things to my children. And what happens when they indeed become a parent? They start using physical punishment themselves. This is the basis of transgenerational transmission of violence. Now, let's say you are indeed somehow capable of going against the programming that your own parents put in your mind. That's just knowing what not to do. You still don't know what to do instead. Therefore, you're bound to make the same mistakes as your parents did. Today, we're going to talk about some of the basics of how to be the effective parent, but it's very important basics because everything is built on that. And as parents, we have three main tasks: to be a protector, to be a model, and to be a teacher. Our sense of safety requires protection, requires us to have a sense that we're being protected against this very uncontrollable world that can indeed be expected to throw all kinds of challenges our way. And doesn't matter how old we are, we need that protection. And who else is to protect us but our own parents, our partners, our friends, our own children? No, we need our parents as protectors. And even when we grow up, we still need that sense of protection. That's why humans invented the concept, not that they invented the God necessarily, but the concept of God we have that we invented is that of a what? Heavenly Father that is protects us, teaches us, guides us, right? Punishes us, reinforces us, all of the tasks of parenting. Um, so there are several types of parenting. Let's start with an effective style of parenting. An effective style of parenting is that of a parent protector. Child is here and you're exercising protection over your child. To be a protector, number one, you need to know what to do, right? Number two, you need to be able to control yourself. Number three, you need to be able to have a relationship with the person that you're protecting in which you are not afraid of that person and that person is not afraid of you. Being a parent protector cannot happen if you have no idea how to help your child, if you yourself dysregulated, if you cannot exercise control, if you are afraid of your child, accommodation, and if your child afraid of you because you're very punitive and retaliatory. So to be a parent protector, you need to learn how to help your child. You need to know what to do. You need to gain a capacity to do it. Involves a capacity to control the only thing that you can yourself. And you need to establish a relationship in which your child trusts you and you're not afraid of the kid of your child. Now, parents, please recognize you are kings and queens of your household. Claim that power. Your children are fully dependent on you. Of course, you need to know how to do this, right? Because the transaction in which we exist with the child and the parent, it's not only the parent is influencing the child is shaping our behavior just as well. So kings and queens don't ask their subjects. They tell their subjects what to do. That's exactly what we need to do as parents. We need to take into consideration what our children need. We need to make sure we have information on how to help and satisfy those needs. We need to take into consideration their knowledge, their perspective, their capacities. And after that, after we make a ruling, we need to do what? We need to exercise our control and indeed tell them what to do. Of course, our children can send us to hell and not do it and not actually follow the direction. That can happen. Remember, we can't control them. That's why to be indeed the king and the queen of your household, you need to maintain a firm control over contingencies. What does that mean? If you're saying it is 1 hour on your computer, it is 1 hour, not 1 hour and 25 seconds. It's 1 hour. How can you exercise that control over the contingency? You need to have a capacity with a press of a button on your own phone to turn your children's devices into bricks. Don't arm wrestle with your children. As soon as you start to arm wrestle with your children, regardless of the outcome, you lost. Why? Because you lost your parental authority. And without parental authority, there's not much that you can do because your children need to trust you. You indeed can protect them. Therefore, you need to have an authority over them. If you are a bodyguard and you're telling a person under a crossfire, lay down, stay low, and that person gets up and runs and gets shot because they don't trust that what you're telling them to do is indeed what to do. You were not an authority in that particular situation for them. Whose fault is that person got shot? So if you don't have a control over contingency, don't even go there. Don't even use it as a contingency because the only thing you're going to get is loss of your parental authority. If you're saying, oh, until you do the homework, no TV, and your child comes up to TV and turns it on, what are you gonna do? Arm wrestle? with your child over remote control, you lost. If you have to wrestle, if you have to argue, if you have to plead, parental authority is lost, regardless of the outcome. So, for us to indeed to be an effective protector, we need to avoid getting stuck. So our position always needs to be, remember, the dialectic of our parenting stance is one side stable, another flexible. I love you just because you exist. I accept everything that you do through the mechanism of validation. I don't agree with it, but I accept it. I don't like it, but I am not criticizing it, and no wiggle room. And on the other, the flexible side, taking in information and your child's perspective and needs and changing your decision based on new information coming in. Now, whenever we have a transaction with the child, there are usually three ways in which it can occur. My gain, child's gain. This is reinforcement. This is spending time with your child. This is when everybody's happy and everybody is getting whatever they want, right? My loss, child's gain. My loss only in the sense I don't want to do this. I don't want to ignore. I don't want to validate. I don't want to tell to my child, I understand why you screamed at me because you were upset that I'm not giving you ice cream before dinner, right? We don't want to do that. So my loss only in a sense that I don't want to do it. It goes against my emotion. It's inconsistent. Child's gain, because strategically, right, over time, if I continue to do it, my child's behavior is going to change. If I continue to ignore consistently, that behavior is going to extinguish. And the third one, my gain, child's loss. My gain means I am doing something that I want to do in this moment, mood consistent. Therefore, it's easy for me. I'm just going with the emotion. Child's loss, meaning that I'm doing it at the expense of my child doing better in the future. The parent protector style of parenting, the effective style of parenting, happens on these two levels. My gain, child's gain, my loss, child's gain. As soon as we get into my gain, child's loss, we are in the realm of non-effective parenting. And there are two styles of three styles actually of not effective parenting. They are parent friend, parent servant, and parent perpetrator. The example of non-effective parenting style is parent friend. Sometimes we want to be friends to our children. Number one, that is not real. We cannot be friends to our children, and they have their own friends. And as soon as you become a friend, you're on the same level. You're losing your ability to be protector. Therefore, it's a not effective parenting style. You are impinging on your child's sense of safety because they need that protection, and you're not providing it by trying to be a friend for your own gain. The dangerous parenting style is parent servant. Frequently, through the process of transaction between parents and a child who's emotionally dysregulated, emotionally sensitive, has so many needs that parents not necessarily know how to satisfy because these children are not born with instructions and they have needs above and beyond of what good enough parenting can indeed offer. And through this transaction, this dysregulated child is pushing on the environment who doesn't know what to do with it. And then dysregulates the environment. The more that environment gets dysregulated, the more they push back on the child, dysregulating the child further, and so forth and so forth. Creates the atmosphere in a family with frequent temper outbursts. It's sucking all the air and all of the life out of the family. And it's absolutely understandable that family wants to try to avoid these kind of situations. But unfortunately, that avoidance leads to accommodation, meaning that the child is a king and a queen, calling all the shots, telling parents what to do and what not to do, forcing the parents over time to start tiptoe around the child to avoid outbursts. Very understandable how it develops. And my heart goes to all of those parents, absolutely. And at the same time, you can attest to that. This kind of tiptoeing is only getting the problem bigger and bigger. It's not solving anything because the child's behavior continues to deteriorate more and more. Nobody's teaching this child what to do instead. Instead, the child sees that force helps to solve problems and get me what I want. So they will continue to use that force over and over again, absolutely. And family continues to suffer, and child continues to deteriorate, and then it becomes a vicious circle. And very important to remember that when we become parent servants, because we are accommodating, we're no longer in the position of a king and a queen. Now the child is a king and a queen telling us what to do. Then we will be treated as such. We will be treated as servants. And a lot of the time, there may be even physical and verbal abuse of the parent. We need to put ourselves in a position where the child is actually not going to treat us as servants, when the child is going to respect us. Then we will decrease, actually, the verbal and physical abuse the child may be committing right now against us, if we are indeed in this unfortunate position of being parent-servant through the transaction in which not only the parent is influencing the child's behavior, child is also influences the behavior of the parent and shapes it. An example of parenting style that is actually traumatizing is parent perpetrator. 2 levels: harmful invalidation and traumatic invalidation. Harmful invalidation is when you are providing feedback about somebody's response, not only on the level of what the person did, but who the person is. It became personal. This is criticizing, shaming, blaming, interrogating, downward comparisons, treating with silent treatment. All of these things are communicating to the person not only what you did was wrong, but you yourself, there's something wrong with you. And you don't even have to say necessarily you are an idiot. Just saying, why the hell did you do it, implies you're an idiot. And what you did is an empirical evidence to support that you're an idiot. And traumatic invalidation. Now, it's not only taking it personal. Now it's treating another human being as an object, not even a subject, object, meaning whose needs and interests, whose pain and suffering is not considered. Just like you're taking a stone to nail something into the wall, you don't care whether or not the stone wants it. What are the feelings of the stone? That means objectifying a person. And now that is traumatic invalidation, consists of physical, emotional, verbal, and sexual abuse. Now, when other people are harmful, invalidating your child, that's terrible. That's awful. And still, your child has a protection. They can run to you for protection. But if you yourself, as a parent, are harmfully, or God forbid, traumatically invalidating the child is without protection. There's nobody to run to. And it will take time for you to heal that relationship and to gain that trust back from your child. And all of that time, your child is without protection. That is how complex trauma develops. And that's how PTSD can set in. So we have discussed a task of parenting called protection, being a protector. The second task of parenting is being a model. The interesting thing that we may not necessarily realize that parents are not only the first programmers for the child, because we're there most of the time from the very beginning, right? And we are the ones who are teaching our child what to do, what not to do, right? And we're modeling those behaviors to the child. All of that is programming how your child sees the world and responds to the world, right? On top of that, we also unquestionable authority. Yes, on a level of consciousness, your child may send you to hell. If you tell them you're an idiot, they can say, you're an idiot back, but that's on a level of consciousness. below the waterline of our psychological iceberg, right? The tip of the iceberg being our conscious awareness, what I'm talking about, what you're hearing, what you're thinking in your conscious mind. Below the waterline of that iceberg lies this whole huge mass of the rest of the iceberg where our hardware lives, where our software lives. And below the waterline of that iceberg, if you say to your child, you're an idiot, even if they send you to help verbally, my father or my mother told me I'm an idiot, question closed. Why is that so? Because we are all control freaks, right? Whichever degree, some people more, some people less. And that is absolutely normal. We have to, because it's our sense of safety, back to sense of safety controls a lot of things in our life. And as we are all control freaks, which is pre-programmed, if we do not have also pre-programmed ways to learn from the example of other people, specifically our parents, we would perish. Think about it. A human baby, just barely walking and talking, is already trying to exercise the control. The first word is what? Mama. The second one is papa. And the third one usually is no. No is a word of control. This human baby that barely walking and talking is already trying to exercise control. And if nature did not pre-program the need to follow model of the adult, we would try to learn from our own experiences and then we're likely to perish. Therefore, nature pre-programmed that. And in 2000s, they actually discovered what they call a over imitation phenomenon that only we humans have. We don't share it with other animals. We don't share it with other primates or mammals. What this is, for example, a dad is demonstrating to their little child how to get an apple from the box. And he's running around the table. Then he knocks himself on the head. Then he takes a feather and strolls the lid with the feather. And only then he goes and takes an apple. Now, monkey ain't gonna do any of that monkey business. She's gonna go straight to the last step to retrieve the apple. A human baby will, whatever they remember given their, developmental cognitive age. Which means what? Humans are pre-programmed to trust that what my parents, what adults are doing has been tested, proven necessary, even if I, a child, don't understand why, and even if for me, whatever they're doing seems irrelevant and superfluous. That's how religion and cultures are transmitted. Now, what that means is that you have a power, not only because you're king and queen of the household and your children are dependent on you, you are the unquestionable authority. You are, as a parent, the main programmer. You can program whatever you want in your child, and modeling is the most straightforward way to do this. Show your children what you want for them to do, and don't do what you don't want your children to do. This is simple, but not easy, understandable. However, this is the most straightforward learning that we can actually impart on our children when we're teaching them. And we still need to teach, absolutely. When we're telling them what to do, this goes through the interpretation plus resistance. Don't tell me what to do. Now, that is not clean. Modeling is clean, does not go through the interpretation. They're noticing it without even necessarily level of awareness. They're just seeing what you do, and over time, they're going to do the same. Clean, straightforward, bypassing interpretation, bypassing resistance. So we discussed so far being a protector, being a model, and the third task of parenting is being a teacher. Please, what I said before, that modeling is the clean way to teach your child what to do. We still need to impart our knowledge and let our children know what is it that they can do, cannot do, how the best way to solve problems, what the best way to cope with difficult situations. Absolutely. But please remember that telling your child what to do is necessary, not sufficient, because you also need to give a capacity to do it. Meaning what? You need to practice with your child all of the things that you're making, sure that you are telling them on how to indeed cope with external stressors as well as internal stressors. So teach your child what to do and then practice these techniques with your child in between situations when your child actually needs it. When child actually needs it, it's too late to practice. When something is already happening, then there are only three responses to that. It's very simple. I like it, I reinforce it. I don't like it, I ignore it if it's safe. And 5 hours of temper tantrum, screaming and yelling and telling you that you should die and you're the most terrible parent in the world and I wish your cancer comes back. It's safe. It's very hard, but it's safe. Nobody's getting hurt physically. Emotionally, maybe, but no physical harm. So I like it, I reinforce it. I don't like it and it's safe, I ignore it. It's unsafe, physical aggression, destruction of property, I suppress it with mild punishment. Now, but that's not parenting. That's a actually result of parenting. If you have to, reinforce your child, that means what? That you have contributed something that, that you did, that your child is now doing this behavior that you can be proud and happy about. Great job me as a parent, right? If you have to ignore your child or God forbid, punish your child, that means that you did something that contributed to your need right now to ignore your child or punish your child. Finger on me. I am the parent. Very important. Children are our products, biologically and environmentally. And we cannot be blamed for whatever is happening with our child because we don't know what to do before. We didn't know how to help them. We didn't have the capacity to help them. Only if we knew what to do, had the capacity to do it, and still didn't do it, then we can talk about some kind of a blame. But no, we didn't know. We did our best at every moment. So, and this is the dialectic, this is the paradox that is the only norm of our existence. We as parents are not to blame for what's happening right now, and we are responsible for it. Meaning, if responsibility is on me, I am in control, I can change it. That's exactly what we need to do. So please remember, whatever's happening right now is, and you're reacting to it, that's not parenting. That's the result of parenting. Parenting happens in between those episodes and consists of modeling, consists of teaching, consists of practicing, consists of helping your child cognitively structure, consists of all of those wonderful things that you are doing to teach your child how to be and relate to other people through validation of your child, through helping your child how to learn to self-validate, how to be self-caring, self-compassionate, self-love, self-control, all of those things. But all of that teaching happens between episodes. When something is already happening, too late to parent. Just like everything else in life, we need to be strategic with parenting as well. And parenting is one of the most strategic jobs we can imagine because we need to bring up this child until they're old enough to venture into this world that maybe is not as validating, supportive, and accepting as hopefully the family is. And that's a strategic endeavor. Strategic means thinking about what you're doing with several steps ahead. Tactical is about whatever I need to do right now to get what I want right now. Now, with parenting, we need to be strategic. And this is like winning the war, not winning each and every battle. And interestingly enough, sometimes winning a battle means losing the war. And losing a battle can contribute to winning the war. Think about this. Child is having a temper tantrum. Parent is ignoring. 5-hour temper tantrum. Because of it, everybody is wit's end. Tactical loss. Beautiful strategic win. If you continue to do this over and over again, consistently, that child's behavior is going to extinguish, winning the war. Now, same situation, temper tantrum, and parents are validating the child. Validation is also giving attention, not to do during the temper tantrum. Appeasing the child, supporting the child. God knows what, right? Giving the child whatever he wants. Now, child is good, is cool. Everybody's loving each other, watching the movie for the rest of the night. Beautiful family night. Good, wonderful time. Tactical win, terrible strategic loss, because you just taught your child that using force is the way to solve problems, and you coded and recoded that program in his mind. Therefore, he's going to have more times in the future in which he's indeed going to use force against you to get what he wants. Again, parenting is strategic, not tactical. Also, parenting is not about just giving your child shelter, giving your child food, or dragging them to extracurricular activities. No, parenting is about an ability to instill in your child senses of self-love, safety, and belonging. We'll talk more about that in the future. But this is the most important thing, so that they indeed can love themselves unconditionally. They themselves can be in control of the only thing they can themselves, what I do, what I feel, what I think, my biology. And they can feel comfortable in their own skin and belong with themselves and their family. Therefore, they can indeed form healthy relationships with other people. So parenting is about teaching your child on how to create a relationship with themselves that is healthy. And through that, they'll be able to create healthy relationships with other people. If you enjoy the lecture today, please like and subscribe. If you're a parent or a therapist and you would like to take a course with me, please look at the information in the comments below this video. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.